Hey guys, welcome to another Flip Classroom. Today's lesson is going to be mimicking yesterday's lesson. We're going to do one-step equations. Yesterday you did adding and subtracting. Today we're going to do multiplying and dividing. With the word problems, we're going to add a little something something to it today to take it to the next level. We're going to write the equation and solve the equation. So I know some of you were doing that, but not all. So today everyone's going to do it. Let's start with the first page. Today's gonna be a little bit different. You're gonna turn the whole packet in, so don't detach this or anything. Uh, all right, so let's go ahead and get started. All right, so get my pen going here. So remember, we're gonna use inverse operations. Okay, so we're gonna check today instead of looking for adding, subtracting, you're gonna look for multiplying, dividing. And remember, the opposite of multiplying is dividing. The opposite of dividing is multiplying. So anytime a number butts up to a variable, remember we are multiplying. So if we want to get rid of this 2, we're going to divide by 2. And whatever we do to one side, we need to do to the other. That cancels that out. I'm left with x equals. Now we're going to start testing those math skills, ladies and gentlemen. 16 divided by 2 is 8. Okay, so again, I am looking for work. If you just write x equals 8 on here, I'm not going to give you credit, man. And so I hope you're listening clearly. I'm looking. You don't have to write the teeter totter. Notice I didn't do the teeter totter or anything, but I do want to see you canceling out numbers using the inverse operations. So then remember, we can check this by plugging this back in here for x. So 2 times 8 in my world is 16. This does pan out. This is a good one. Okay, so same thing with number 20 here. Okay, so remember we got 15. They just flipped the equal sign. So now our total's over here and our equation's over here, but still the same thing's happening. It's being multiplied by 3. So we want to divide by 3. Whatever we do to one side, we're going to do to the other. Cancels out. I'm left with t, and 15 divided by 3 is 5. Now if I want to check it, I'm going to 3 times 5 is 15. It works out. Now let's take a shot at an addition problem. All right, so, or not addition, division. I'm sorry. So now we've got k divided by 2. All right, and so remember the opposite of division is multiplication. So I'm just going to use a dot to kind of remind me, hey, that's multiplying. And so that's going to cancel this out. I'm going to be left with k. And whatever we do to one side, we need to do to the other. And 6 times 2 is 12. So let's just plug that back in for k. So if I said, hey, k is 12, then let's find out. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Boom, works out. Okay, so those are the only 3 problems I'm going to do with you on this page. You're going to scroll through here. You can notice that you got quite a few today. Once you complete this whole thing, this is kind of your practice, your drill and kill, like we talked about yesterday. And then we're going to move on to our second page. All right. So what we're going to look for today is we're going to look for you guys really. I want to see 2 things. I want to see the equation that represents this situation, and then I also want to see how you solve it. All right. So Holmes and I were talking today. You guys are going to want. You could set up a situation like this. This is going to be your equation. All equations are going to look like this, okay? And then you can work backwards. So in 12 years, that's important, Hugh Long will be 58 years old. How old is he? So our total is 58. I like to work backwards, and we know all totals are going to be over here by themselves. All right? So in 12 years, he'll be 58. How old is he? So we know one of these is going to be 12. So it doesn't really matter where that variable is. Now, I'm sure what you'd say is, hey, I'm going to take 12 minus 58 and I'll figure out the difference and then I'll tell me how it is. That's great. But we want to represent this problem. And to represent this problem, if you're going to subtract, you need to think, okay, if I'm going to subtract, my equation must be addition. And so we know in 12 years plus, let's call it x, 12 plus x, he's going to be 58. X is how old he is now. So you could have x plus 12 or 12 plus x. It doesn't really matter. And then to solve it, it would do what you would do, and I'm sure, is you would subtract 12 from each side. See that? And yes, you're left with x. And you're left 8 minus 2 is 6. 5 minus 1 is 4. Now, most of you would just go, hey, I'm going to take 58 and subtract 12 from it, and that'll tell me how old he is now. Yes, but we want to represent the equation that that does. And so what I need you guys to really think about is if I'm going to subtract to solve it, then I'm using the inverse operation. So the equation must be the opposite of what I do to solve it. So what we would do is obviously subtract, so the equation must be adding. Okay, let's try one more. So I'm going to look for this. You cannot just write your work, oh, I did 58 minus 12. That's not the equation. You have to have a variable, a sign, a constant, and a total for you to get full credit, plus the answer. All right, so let's do one of these. You guys did one of these the other day. Well, let's do 12. Let's go down one, okay? It says, Paul and his best friend found some money in an envelope. They split the money evenly, each getting $21. How much money did they find? Okay, so let's talk about this. They split the money up evenly, so you're dividing, right? So we need to think the opposite of dividing. So something equals something, all right? So they found some money, each getting $21. How much money did they find? All right, so how many people? Paul and his best friend. So we know we've got 2 people. 21 is our total. All right, and so we would probably go, hey, we'd go to figure this out. They split the money evenly, each getting $21, right? How much money? So you just go 21 times 2. Doesn't that make sense? Like you go, okay, Paul and his best friend each got 21. How much money did they have? Okay, so if we're going to multiply to solve it, then we must need to divide. Okay, so we're going to divide x by 2 to get 21. So however much money they had divided by 2 will give us 21. To solve this, we do the opposite. So we're going to multiply by 2, multiply by 2, and I'm left with x equals $42. Okay, so I need you guys to know that. I need you guys to think the opposite. Okay, so in this equation, I'd go, hey, I just take 21 times 2 and solve this thing. Okay, so then the equation must be the opposite of that. That's all I did. If you want to set this format up, so blank sign blank equals blank, it'll help you set this thing up. So when you're doing 11, if you want to get it started, it'd look like, then you'd find your total, and then you're going to have to decide which one's your variable and which one's your constant. Okay, so good luck with that. There's plenty of practice. Remember, there's 2 pages, so you're gonna start with this one, move on to this one, and then finish up with this guy here. Keep in mind, if you do not get this done, it is homework. All right. Now, well, let's not do that. Let's not do that. No homework. You'll always turn it in at the end of the day, and then I'll hit it with some questions tomorrow. We're gonna look into a review. We'll finish this packet, and then we'll review, and then the test is gonna be on Thursday. So we got to get this ball rolling. Okay, so remember on this page, we're just drilling and killing. We want to show our work using inverse operations, solving for the variable. On this one, we're reading the question, we're writing out the equation, thinking the opposite that we would do to solve it, to write the equation, and we're going to solve it. Okay, if you have any questions, please ask, but really you should be able to rock and roll. This is an independent thing. So remember, you can watch this video as many times as you want to kind of help get an idea of what's going on. Pause it, fast forward it, take notes in your notebook, whatever you want to do. But this is what's going on for today. You need to be ready to go tomorrow so that we can review and then test on Thursday. Okay, good luck. Hope you have fun. Enjoy, and we'll talk to you guys tomorrow.